Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to talk about proper gain structure in the digital audio environment and whether or not you can clip buses and a bit about intersample peaks. Okay, one of the questions that I often come across is if during my mix I'm clipping my master output, is there any difference of me just pulling down my master fader so I'm not clipping, or should I leave my master fader at 0 and pull down all my tracks so that I'm not clipping at the output? And what I'm going to show you with the simple phase test is that they're in Cubase in a 32-bit environment, that there's absolutely no difference between pulling down the master fader or pulling down all the channels. So what we're going to do is I've got a 100 hertz sine wave open here just to demonstrate, and I'm going to try and clip my master fader from my channel fader. Another thing I want to show you while I'm doing this is how easy it is to clip in the digital environment and how quickly you distort. So right now we're at -3 and I'm going to try and push to over 0. Now pretty much you hear right away at just 1 decibel over, I've turned my nice sine wave into a square wave, and I distorted almost, not even almost, I distorted immediately. Even if I push farther, it's just going to distort more. I mean, you see at 0.2, we're already distorting. You can hear that. So now, here's the real test, is if I pull down my channel fader, so I'm not distorting, you know, my master fader here. So let's take a look here. Put this back at 0. Okay, no distortion. I'm distorting at 3 decibels. And now, since I've pushed this up 6 decibels here, I'm going to pull this down 6 decibels. So let's see if this gives me the same effect. Doesn't sound distorted anymore. So to my ears, tell me that whether or not I pull down the channel fader not to distort or I pull down the master fader, I'm getting the same result. Now, my ears can sometimes lie to me. They do all the time. So maybe I should do a phase test. If I push this channel over 6 decibels and I subtract here 6 decibels and I export out, if I now subtract this back to 0, I should have the exact same files if it is the same to just pull down your master fader. Now to prove that, I'm going to flip the phase on this channel and play both channels together. And if it is correct, I should output exactly nothing. Ta-da! The proof is in the pudding. So that test proves that whether or not you have your channel fader down or your master fader down, you're going to get the same result. Okay, so now what I want to do is talk a bit about intersample peaks. This is a problem that can occur because most of our output metering is showing us the output of sample peaks and not technically what's in between those. So in certain cases, you could actually output more than 0 and your meter will only really show you 0. It's not really showing you the full thing. This issue really comes up when you're really trying to maximize your dynamic range. So when you're limiting or all your whole mix is summing to your output and you're really trying to get the most out of the output as you can. So I'm just going to open up a song here real quick to try and demonstrate this effect. So I'm going to open up my pool. This guy was on its way to mastering, and it has been mastered. It sounds great, but this is before the mastering, and I'm just going to do like a temp master if I was doing it myself, just to show this effect. So I'm going to open up a limiter here, and then I'm going to show you how to look for this problem. I'm going to open up a plugin from Solid State Logic, and the best thing about it is it's free. Okay, so I've opened up this plugin, and it's going to show me intersample peaks. Okay, so you can see I'm kind of limiting it to try and get here up to 0. My meter is telling me I'm at 0 and I'm not clipping. So I'm cool, right? Well, let's take a look at this intersample peak meter. That meter basically tells me I'm clipping the whole time. So let's go a little bit farther back.
Kinda wanna call your phone, wanna drive past your home, wanna keep hanging on.
So in the digital environment inside Cubase, I'm not going to clip. But as my output environment, like my CD player, at that point it is technically going to try to clip, because it's going to try and reproduce those signals that are above 0 dB and clip. So you want to avoid this problem. So basically, to avoid this problem is to pull down this fader on your output just a bit so you're not technically clipping.
Kinda wanna call your phone, wanna drive past your home, wanna keep hanging on. Girl, those days are gone. You think that I'll be coming back, but I won't. You think that I'll forget the past, but I won't. Think I'll be getting sentimental. All the way to go, all the way to go.
Okay, so now you're going to want to run through your whole mix and make sure those analog lights never light up. So at your individual channels, you don't have to worry about intersample peaks because you can't technically clip in Cubase, but at your output, you can. So I would definitely suggest using an intersample peak meter when trying to maximize the dynamic range in your output. So if you're really trying to get as close to 0 without going over, you're definitely going to want to use these meters because you're going to get a more true result, and if you're really going to be clipping or not due to these intersample peaks.